Hey guys, well, you guys have been watching the various horns. I think A-Bomb had his train horn, and Tom picked up his plastic horns at the flea market, and was it Ray? One of the other guys had their horns, and we've seen the air horns on Keith Rucker at the train station and the whistles there. Well, I was talking to my good friend Carl, and he's built a few. And he's been nice to bring him over to the shop, nice enough to come over. And we're going to give a little demonstration, and Carl will give a little explanation on the different ones that he built. So Carl doesn't want to be on camera, so he's coming in. You'll see his torso. But Carl gives a little talk. So here's the first one, the blue guys.
Now that I have your attention, guys, this is a fun build. I saw the idea on YouTube.
Louder as you talk.
Louder?
Just a little louder
Okay.
as you talk.
I saw the idea on YouTube, and it looked like it's a pretty easy build. This is made out of PVC fittings, and these, of course, are the funnels for filling your automatic transmission. The rest of it is pipe fittings. The plans are sold on eBay by a guy who goes under the name of Dozer Boy Miller, and apparently he's developed this entire range of methods of making air horns out of PVC. And of course, being me, I didn't do quite the way he showed. Some of these parts were machined rather than being formed out of epoxy and things like that. But it was really quite easy and a lot of fun, and here we go again, just for... They sound excellent.
And quick story, you guys. Carl, by the crow flies, lives about 800 yards, maybe 1,000 yards north of me, and the north wind blows this way, so we'll credit a little bit of wind. But I was talking to Carl one day on the phone, and he says, "Yeah, I just finished a horn," and he only had built just one of them at the time. And so I said, "Really?" I go, "Well, let's see if I can hear it." And so I'm on the phone. He walks out his shop, and did you use compressed air that day?
Yeah, I was on compressed air.
On compressed air, and he blew the horn, and I could hear it clear as day over at my house. It was quite fun.
The difference between that one and these, that was this power cylinder here, but the diaphragm on that was made out of a 20,000 thick lid from a yogurt can. It was plastic, clear plastic lid. The diaphragms in these are 3,000 thick aluminum out of soda pop bottles. And so they're a little less noisy, but they just sounds wonderful. So next we'll go from the air horn to Siren. And Sirens work on a slightly different principle. They chop the air up between a stator and a rotor. And both of them will have slots in some configuration or another. Now this particular rotor is free in here. There are no bearings. It actually would be considered some kind of an air bearing. The body of it just provides air channels to get the air from the inlet into the rotor. There it is back together. Now this, well, that was a piece of serendipity. I was looking for some kind of a funnel shape, a trumpet shape, shall we say, and I found this at a free pile along my walk, and it was absolutely perfect. Now I don't really like it, and I'm trying to spin a piece of brass or copper into a trumpet shape, but that's a little more difficult than I'd anticipated, and that part of the project's not done, but here's what it sounds like. The plans for these were in Engineering and Miniature magazine, a British magazine devoted to the model engineering hobby, in 1979. So it has taken me roughly 35 years from the time that I first saw the plans to when I finally made one. But given the sound of this, well worth the time. I had a lot of fun. Now we're going to move on to the more standard whistles. A whistle has one note. A chime has multiple notes, and so all four of these are whistles. This first one is just made out of pipe fittings. Works well in lung power. Works okay on compressed air, but as you can hear, it's easy to overblow it. It's down at its fundamental tone, gave it a little more air, and it went at least an octave over. So that's a very simple horn made out of 3/4 pipe fittings.
I like that one.
Now these three were a set of castings. These are taken from the Creeder's popcorn engine. Years ago, popcorn vendors used a small steam engine to drive their popcorn machine, and they had whistles. And so this would be typical of a Creeder's whistle, complete with a valve. And I don't have enough hands to blow this one, but it sounds okay. Let's see if Chuck and I can, between the two of us. Okay, there's that one. And that sounds the same note as this one because the bells, of course, are the same length. And because the bell on this is the bell, because the bell is a little longer, the note is a lower tone. On compressed air, it will overblow. Yeah. So I sized all the parts in here to blow on lung power rather than on compressed air. Now this little one is a chime, technically, because it has two chambers. They're separated by a little rib in here. And it'll sound two notes simultaneously. Not a terribly great sounding whistle. The plans for these are available on the web. If you look under NEMS, N-E-M-E-S, which stands for New England Model Engineering Society, so it'd be nems.org. I believe these plans are available on the web. So there are the whistles. Now we'll take us a break here while Chuck refocuses the camera. Here we are with a 4-note chime. This is an aluminum casting. The patterns are made by a friend of mine, and unfortunately I don't know who poured the aluminum. I machined this. There are plugs in each of the 4 chambers that set the length of the chamber, and of course the pitch of the tone produced by that chamber is a function of the length. So this is again a 4-note chime. Here is the bell, and we'll put the bell on. Some plumber was missing a piece of copper scrap from a construction job. Somehow it wound up in my truck rather than his truck. That's okay. He said I could have this one. The cap is made out of a fairly thin piece of copper sheet. I made a wooden former and spun the metal over like this to form that shape. Unfortunately, the sheet was a little thin, but I'll have to live with that. I don't yet have the acorn nut. You can see the acorn here that's on the other whistles, and I'm looking for a piece of 1-inch diameter by about 3 inches long, free machining copper. And should you have a piece of scrap like that in your scrap box and would be willing to sell it to me, contact Chuck first. Don't just drop it in the mail. Arrange things with Chuck. I'll be willing to pay the scrap value for a good piece of copper. So this project is not finished. The height of this right in here needs to be tuned a little bit. So we're not going to get a real good clean note out of this time. But here we go. So it's overblowing a little bit, and again I need to adjust things, but I'll do that once I get the acorn nut made. So there we have the little collection of whistles that I've made. I think this all started many years ago when I was a little pup of maybe 7 years old, and I attended a Farm Bureau picnic in my hometown in the Midwest, and learned that you could take soda pop bottles and blow across the top of them and make this wonderful tone. And so I've been a whistle enthusiast ever since then. So thanks guys for looking in on what Chuck and I are doing and having fun with.
Okay guys, got my grandkids behind me, and yeah, Carl has his horns and whistles, and Avon has his air horn, and Tom bought his horns at the flea market, but who has a police siren out of the old school days? about that for a toy, guys? All right, catch you later.